a story of failure and success fire. Aarav stood at the window of his tiny office, staring out at the city skyline. Just a year ago, he had been full of dreams. His startup, ByteTech, was supposed to revolutionize smart gadgets. Investors had believed in him. His friends had cheered him on. But now, the office was nearly empty. The desks that once buzzed with energy were covered in dust. His employees had left, one by one. His inbox was flooded, not with orders, but with payment overdue emails. His hands trembled as he picked up the last letter on his desk. It was from his bank. Final notice. Loan default. Failure. The word echoed in his mind like a cruel joke. He had always believed that hard work led to success. But no one told him that sometimes hard work leads to failure first. That night, he sat in the dark, staring at his reflection in the window. The city outside was alive, but inside, he felt like a ghost of his former self. Had he made a mistake by leaving his well-paying job? Had he been foolish to dream? Somewhere in the distance, his phone buzzed. He ignored it. He wasn't ready to face the world yet. Aarav withdrew from everyone. He stopped answering calls. He avoided friends. The once confident entrepreneur now doubted everything about himself. Everywhere he looked, he saw success stories. Former classmates getting promotions, LinkedIn filled with achievements, friends buying houses and cars. And here he was, drowning in failure. One evening, his childhood friend Riya knocked on his door. "Open up, Aarav." He hesitated. He didn't want her to see him like this. But Riya wasn't the kind to leave. She kept knocking until he finally gave in. The moment she stepped inside, she saw the pile of unopened letters, the untouched food, the empty bottles of coffee. "You look like a mess," she said, sitting down. "What happened to you?" Aarav forced a laugh. "What happened? I failed. That's what." Riya didn't flinch. Instead, she crossed her arms and leaned forward. "So what?" she said. "You think the greats didn't fail?" Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. Elon Musk went broke. J.K. Rowling was rejected 12 times. The difference is they didn't give up. And neither should you. Aarav looked away. "I don't know if I can start over." "You don't have to start over," she said. "You just have to learn." That night, for the first time in months, he picked up a notebook. Aarav sat with a pen in hand, staring at a blank page. Then he wrote 3 words. "Why did I fail?" Slowly, he started listing everything he had done wrong. "I tried to do everything alone. I should have built a stronger team. I focused too much on the product. I should have focused on what people actually needed. I didn't manage my money well. I should have planned better." By the time the sun rose, Aarav had filled 10 pages. He had been so focused on the pain of failing that he had forgotten something important. Asterisk, asterisk, failure is a lesson, not a punishment. Asterisk, asterisk, for the next 6 months, he didn't rush into another business. Instead, he learned. He took consulting jobs, studying how successful businesses worked. He read books about failure and success. He attended workshops, meeting mentors who had once failed too. And then one day, inspiration struck. Companies everywhere were struggling with customer support automation. AI was the future, but businesses didn't know how to use it effectively. This time, Aarav didn't jump in blindly. He researched for months before taking action. 2 years after his first failure, Aarav launched his second startup, an AI-driven customer support platform. This time, he did things differently. He brought in a co-founder who had deep technical expertise. He focused on real customer pain points, not just cool technology. He managed finances carefully, ensuring sustainability. But the real test came when he pitched to investors. One investor leaned back in his chair and smirked. "Aarav, your first startup failed. Why should we trust you now?" Aarav took a deep breath and smiled. "Because I failed," he said. "And that failure taught me lessons no MBA ever could. I know exactly what not to do, and that makes me the best person to succeed." For a moment, there was silence. Then, the investor nodded. A week later, Neurotech secured $2 million in funding. From failure to inspiration. 3 years later, Neurotech was a global success. 500 plus companies using its AI technology. $50 million in revenue. Awarded Best AI Startup. One evening, Aarav received an email. It was an invitation to give a TED Talk. Standing on the stage, looking at the sea of faces, he smiled. A few years ago, he began. I sat alone in a dark office, convinced my dream was over. But I was wrong. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. The only way to truly fail is to stop trying. The audience erupted in applause. Somewhere in the crowd, Riya smiled. Aarav had risen, not despite his failure, but because of it. Moral of the story asterisk. Failure is not the end. It's just the beginning of a stronger, wiser, and more resilient you asterisk asterisk. So, if you failed, good. It means you're on the path to success. Just don't stop. I hope you love the story. Please like, share, and subscribe the channel and share this story with family and friend.